don't know what's going on. There we go. It wasn't letting me go live for some reason. And yes, I have my little helpers. So let me get them a treat. And we're going to have a big morning. Got a lot to do. So let me give the babies their treat. Good morning, Lily. Good morning, Ryder. Good babies. So how is everyone this morning? Not sure what was going on with YouTube, but it kept saying that it wouldn't let me connect. So anyway, this morning I'm going to be doing some pantry stock up, some freezer stock up. So come join me in my kitchen and let's get busy. First thing I'm going to do is wash my little hands and then we'll get started. So good morning and welcome. And it's the first of the month, so I try to do a lot of my pantry stock up and freezer stock up on the first of the month. So I thought I'd bring you along and let you see what I'm doing today. Yesterday I had a live and I was showing the fettuccine noodles that I made. And I made these with the pasta and beyond. So these are now dry. And I'm going to put these in a gallon jar. Then I'm going to make a pot of chili for the freezer. And I'm going to make a chicken pot pie for dinner. And then I'm going to show you some of the freezer stock that I have in the little freezer cubes and how I store some of my meals to prepare for the freezer. And that is homemade chicken noodle soup. I canned some chicken and then I dehydrated some mixed vegetables in the dehydrator. And of course I made fettuccine noodles, and I made my own chicken noodle soup. So I froze it in these little freezer cubes. Each one holds up to 2 cups. And I'll show you here in just a little bit what I'm going to do with these. So first things first, I'm going to start with my noodles. So let me get you moved over, and I'm using this new stand, so please be patient with me. Okay, I'm going to give myself a little bit of room. I've got a lot going on this morning. I have my dehydrator going, and I make my puppies their own chicken jerky. So I've got the dehydrator loaded and I'm making the chicken jerky, and it's all natural chicken breast. So they'll have their goodies. And I've got a crock pot here, and in my crock pot I deboned my chicken that I'm going to be using today for my chicken pot pie. And I put all the bones in here. I'm going to add some water to this, and then I'm going to make some chicken stock. So I'm just adding water, just enough to cover. And then I'll put this on low and let it cook. And then I'll strain it, and then I'll make my own chicken broth. So basically I just covered it with water. And And then here in just a few minutes, I'm going to put that on. I'm going to go over there and start that. So let me move that to the side. And I'll go ahead and get these noodles put away. They turned out very nice. They're nice and dry. I'll let them set out for probably 48 hours or more. And now I'm going to put them in a gallon jar. And I'll have my pantry restocked with fettuccine noodles. I made about 4 pounds of noodles. And this way I always have extra in my pantry. So it's the beginning of the month, and I just try to do most of my pantry restock at the beginning of the month. And my freezer meals. So I thought I'd bring you along today while I'm in the kitchen. And I use the Pasta and Beyond pasta maker to make the noodles. And as you can see, they turned out very, very nice. I don't want to overcrowd them and break my noodles, so I'm going to go ahead and use the second jar. You can hear how dry they are. I just put them out on cookie sheets with aluminum foil for about 48 hours or a little bit more. They turned out so pretty. And I do have 2 Maltese puppies. Well, not really puppies anymore. One will be 2 in July, and one will be 1 in, I believe, April. And I made 4 pounds of the fettuccine noodles. And I like making my own because I know it's all natural. Just eggs, flour, salt, and olive oil. And my husband absolutely loves noodles. We use a lot of noodles. And the Pasta and Beyond pasta maker helps me out so much because my hands just don't work like they used to. Is that pasta? Yes, this is homemade pasta. This is fettuccine. And I made it with the Pasta and Beyond pasta maker. It does pasta, and it also does frozen treats as well. I have not used the frozen treat part yet. And you can see how absolutely beautiful those noodles turn out. And I'm using, these are Ball gallon jars, and they've got a really nice seal for the lid. And I use these for my pantry. And even though I've allowed these to dry, I'm still going to go ahead and put a couple oxygen absorbers in, just to make sure that I don't have any moisture in my jars. And then I'll set these in my pantry, and I will have plenty of pasta. Nice. I got a pasta attachment for my... Oh, wow. Now, I have the KitchenAid, and I did get the pasta maker attachment for it. And then I have the Pasta and Beyond that I use to make these. And then I also have the hand crank pasta maker as well. So this will give me plenty of pasta to put in my pantry for my pantry stock up for the beginning of the month. So I'm going to go ahead and move those to the side. And let me see, what am I working on next? Next, I'm going to make... How long does that last you? Usually about a month to 2 months. Here is one of my freezer meals that I'm going to be putting away today. And this is using some of the homemade pasta. And this is a chicken noodle soup. Sorry, the puppies are getting used to the new stand. And this is I canned chicken, and then I dehydrated my vegetables. I have carrots, peas, corn, and green beans, and then some of my fettuccine noodles, and I made the chicken noodle soup, and then I froze it, and these are up to 2 cups. They've got a line on it for 1 cup or 2 cup, and this makes a very nice meal for 2. Because it's just my husband and myself. So I'm going to go ahead and put these. I had to let them set out just a little bit so they'll loosen, so I can pop them out. So I'm going to go ahead and get these in freezer bags. And this will give me 4 servings. So for a quick meal, that's a bowl for myself and my husband. So I'll freeze it in there. And then I will transfer it to freezer bags. Let me see if I've got one open here. And I'm just using the ½ gallon. Sorry, I'm kind of in frame and out of frame. I'm just going to use the ½ gallon freezer bags. And then I'm going to store my soup in my freezer bags. And that freezes so nice. And that, I know, is 1 meal, 2 bowls of homemade chicken noodle soup. So it's part of my freezer stock up. Hi, good morning. Looks great. Oh, thank you. Good morning. How are you this morning? If you're just coming in, I'm working a little bit in the kitchen this morning. And this is some of the homemade chicken noodle soup that I made and froze in my cubes. And each one of these cubes makes a nice bowl of soup. And everything in here, I made the fettuccine pasta. I canned the chicken. And then I dehydrated the vegetables, rehydrated them, and made the homemade soup. And then I froze it in the cubes. So now that will give me 2 meals. Do you make your own broth too? Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, earlier I was showing I had baked a whole chicken. I deboned it. And then I've got water getting ready to put this on to make my own broth. And then what I do is I save my extra spaghetti jars for the pasta. And then I'll put my broth in one of these and then freeze it. And this is the broth that I made out of my last whole chicken that I had baked and deboned. And then I just let it cook slow, about, I don't know, 8 hours, 10 hours. And then strain it, let it cool, put it in my jars, and then I just freeze them. And whenever I want to make something, I just take it out, let it thaw. And that way I'm reusing these jars. Jars are great for many things like this. Yes, they are. And I absolutely love these pasta sauce jars. Okay, so I've got the pasta made, ready for the pantry, and some freezer meals. So I'm going to take these and place these in my freezer in the back so they don't thaw out. And this will make 2 bowls of soup for each bag. And that's homemade chicken noodle soup. Can you put filled spaghetti jars with the lid on loosely in the freezer and they don't break? What I do is I let my broth cool really well. And I leave headspace, because whenever it freezes, of course, it's going to compact a little, or, you know, rise a little bit. So always make sure I leave room in my jar so when it freezes, and I do just put my lid on, just not real tight, but tight. And they do wonderful. Yes, you can leave room for expansion. Yes, yes. Let me put these in my freezer and I'll be right back. Okay. I deboned my chicken, so it made my first meal whenever I baked the whole chicken. Then I deboned it. So here is some of the chicken that I'm going to be using today. And I'm going to turn this into a chicken pot pie. Thank you. I'm so used to plastic or freezer bags. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad that's a good idea. I try to reuse things if I can. So I'm going to go ahead and put together a chicken pot pie. And there is the chicken that I used when I deboned. And I'm going to be using 1 can of mixed vegetables, 1 can of cream of chicken, a little bit of garlic powder, and 1 egg for egg wash. So I'm just going to see if I can shred this a little bit more. My husband likes large chunks of chicken, and he likes a very meaty chicken pot pie. This is going to be dinner this evening. So I just kind of chunked up some of the bigger pieces. So that's going to be my chicken pot pie. Wash my hands. And I'm going to be using 2 frozen pie crust. Yum. What time is dinner? I call my kitchen my little cafe. Aw. I'm going to be using 2 frozen pie crusts for my chicken pot pie that I've let thaw. I set them out to thaw. Hopefully I don't bump this. Let me move this over just a little bit here. And I'm just going to get a little bit of wax paper. Hopefully you can see me okay there. Tomorrow is my birthday. Oh, well, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Okay, I'm just going to use this little piece of wax paper to try and help me roll out my pie crust. I'm going to move this chicken over. Out of my way. Give me a little bit of room so I can roll out a pie crust. And let me get a rolling pin, some scissors. So how is everybody today? We're supposed to get snow today. I've seen that we are under a storm warning, 1 to 4 inches. And my puppies may be hearing my neighbors, so I apologize in advance if you hear them barking, but they are puppies being puppies. And this is going to be my bottom crust. I don't need it that much bigger, but I'll go ahead and roll it out a little bit, because I'm using a pretty good sized pie pan this morning. So I want to make sure that it's plenty big enough. Don't need a whole lot, but just a little bit of extra there, just to make sure. That should be fine. my pie pan over. Let's see how close I am. Oh, perfect, perfect. But by using the one chicken, baking the chicken, having the whole chicken for our first meal, then shredding the chicken and making a pot pie gives me a second meal, and then by deboning it and using it for my second meal, then I have my bones that I'm going to put in the crock pot there and let that cook. And then I'll also have my own broth. So that one chicken has served me very, very well. We don't get much snow here either, but lots of rain. Oh, you're on the West Coast. I'm in the Southwest. We are in Ohio, Southern Ohio, Southeastern Ohio. So I got my bottom crust in, and then I just put a few holes in the bottom. And now I'm going to open my cans. It's supposed to be kind of wintry, they're saying, so I thought I would go ahead and, well, I'm going back to bed now. Enjoy your day. Everything looks yummy. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for stopping in. Please come back and see me, and welcome to my home and my kitchen. I'm just going to open these mixed vegetables. Let me put this over here. And then I'm going to drain the mixed vegetables. Okay, so I got 1 can of mixed vegetables, 1 can of creamless chicken soup. Move my pie crust over. And I'm going to put this together. This is my pot pie center. One can of mixed vegetables drained. 1 can of cream of chicken. My husband likes a really thick pot pie filling. Sorry, I still have a little bit of this cold. I haven't felt good, so I apologize for not being online. And then I'm just going to stir this up real good. This makes a very, very thick filling, pot pie filling. And it just seemed like a nice cold day, so I was going to have me a chicken pot pie since I was deboning that chicken. So it's kind of everything chicken this morning. I'm in BC, Canada. Oh, well, hi. I'm in bed. It's 4:30 a.m. here. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, a little bit of time difference there. Well, thank you for stopping in. Okay, so all I've got in here right now is 1 can of mixed vegetables drained, and 1 can of cream of chicken soup, And I'm going to add just a little bit of garlic powder. Go ahead and get that stirred in. I asked my husband if he'd like to have a chicken pot pie for dinner. He said, absolutely. So that makes a very nice, thick, I sub to your channel. Oh, well, thank you. I'm going to make lasagna today. Oh, that sounds yummy. I love lasagna. Okay, let me get my crust back over. Hopefully you can see me okay. And this makes such a nice pot pie filling. And this is quite a big pie pan. So we'll have pot pie for dinner this evening, and I normally just use half of the pot pie for dinner, and then the other half I'll put away in the freezer, and that'll be another freezer meal for my husband and myself. So this one chicken is making quite a few meals. And yes, my hands are clean. And I use my hands. A little water in that bowl, so it's easier to clean up. So that makes a very nice, thick filling. What you're making anyway. Oh, okay. This is the chicken pot pie. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my second crust ready. I usually try to keep a few of these frozen pie crusts on hand, especially if you're not feeling good and you don't feel like making a pie crust. It's so nice just to have frozen pie crust on hand. And I set these out for probably an hour, right at an hour and a half, maybe about 90 minutes or more. And they're nice and thawed. And again, I'm just going to roll it a little bit just to make sure I've got enough pie crust for the top of my chicken pot pie. It doesn't really need to be that much bigger, but it's a pretty good sized pie pan. Alright, I think we're good on that. Perfect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pinch and roll this extra dough that I have on the sides. And if it's a little bit too much, then I'll go ahead and take it off. But I like to pinch it and roll it in underneath. Kind of tuck it together like that. That way I know all of my goodies are going to stay in my chicken pot pie. We don't want to lose all the goodies. So I'm just folding the top one underneath of the bottom one, just to keep it nice and tight so it doesn't overflow in the oven, and it keeps all that goodness in my pie. And this right here is a little bit long, so I'm going to go ahead and just trim that little bit of extra off there. Just a real simple and easy chicken pot pie. Okay, now you can see I folded everything under all the way around. And then I'm going to use these 2 fingers and my thumb. I'm going to push with my fingers and then push through with my thumb. And I'm just going to form me a little pie crust on here. Let me stretch this out a little bit. Make sure I'm good and covered everywhere. And then I'm just going to take my 2 fingers and push in, and I'm just going to take my thumb and push back against it. And just make a little float on my pie crust. Nothing special, just simple and easy. Okay. Now I'm going to get me a knife, and I want to make sure I have a place in the center so it can let any extra air out. So I try to get as close to the center as I can. Normally, I am definitely not perfect, so it's probably not going to be exactly centered, but I'm just making this for my husband and myself. It'll be just fine. Just enough to where some of that extra juice, if it needs to, and any air can come up. Hi, good morning. So now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an egg wash to the top of this. So I just got me a brush, a fork, and I like adding the egg wash because it helps to brown it and it gives it a really nice pretty glaze. Now you can add a little bit of water if you want to. Good morning. How are you this morning? You can add a little bit of water to your egg wash if you'd like to. I just use it just like it is, just 1 egg. And then I'm just going to coat my whole entire pie, and I want to make sure I get my crust. I'm just going to coat it real good. So this will be 1 meal for this evening. A chicken pot pie for dinner. And then, like I said, I normally just cut it in half. And we will have half of this chicken pot pie for dinner this evening. And then the other half I'll put in Ziploc baggies or a container and put it in the freezer, and then we'll have a freezer meal as well, because I'm cooking for two. So this one chicken that I had has really been divided up into several meals. And now the bones is going to be in the crock pot cooking, and then I'll make my broth, and I'll have some chicken broth. And I just coated that. I like the Snoopy shirt. Oh, thank you. It's one of my favorites. It's the little things in life. And that to me is what's important. It's the little things in life. Egg wash. And you can probably see that shine. And I am remodeling still. But we put it on hold. We got part of the kitchen redone and the island set, but this part where I'm in has not been remodeled. And we did purchase some property, so we're going to be moving the mobile home to the property. So I'm just using what space I have available. So let me go ahead and get some things out of my oven here. And I'll go ahead and get this pot pie in the oven for dinner. I keep my cast iron in my oven. I absolutely love my cast iron. These bread pans, I'm telling you, I absolutely love the cast iron bread pans. I have quite a collection of cast iron. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on and let that start preheating. And then I will put my pie in the oven. And I'm going to set it on a cookie sheet lined in aluminum foil, just so the bottom doesn't burn. So when that heats up, I'll go ahead and set that pie in the oven. See, I need that. Okay, let me go ahead and pick up some of this and clean up my workspace a little bit. So I'm moving right along this morning. I got my pasta put in the gallon jars, and this is the fettuccine pasta that I made. I made 4 pounds using the Pasta and Beyond. I set it out and let it dry, and now this is for my pantry. And that's how I started off this live. And I had that on cookie sheets lined with aluminum foil. I let it set out for, it was a little over 48 hours until it was good and dry. I put it in my gallon jars, and I added some oxygen absorbers just in case. And then I'll have that for my pantry. See, I need this left out. Okay, so let me see if I can't go ahead and get this set up over here. And I will get my chicken that I deboned, or that I took all my meat off of, and I want to get this started for my chicken broth. Okay, so I'm just going to let that cook on low. Hello. Good morning. So, I got my noodles put away from my pantry. I emptied my freezer cubes. I had the homemade chicken noodle soup. I made the homemade soup, let it cool in the cubes, froze the cubes. Then I took my soup just a little bit ago and put it in Ziploc baggies. So I know each cube is equal to 1 bowl of soup. I do the same thing. Nothing goes to waste. There you go. Exactly. And right now, we really, with everything so high, you really have to watch your pennies. Now I'm going to move you over here. Hopefully I don't bump you too much. I'm trying to get used to this new stand. And I'm going to make some freezer meals for today. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on this noisy fan. I apologize in advance. And I'm going to make a pot of chili. So I'm going to use 1 pound, and this is fairly lean. I think it's like 80-20 of ground beef. And I always try to dice onions and freeze some onions in advance. So I've got some onions and I've got some green peppers. I'm kind of in frame and out of frame, I apologize. And I'm going to try and turn this, let's turn this light off. Well, that isn't going to help. This is just me trying to get used. I'm not good at filming. Okay, so 1 pound ground beef. And I'm going to make some chili. And to save dishes, which I do have a brand new dishwasher, but out of habit, I'm just going to use 1 pot. And I love this pot, this stainless steel, because I can brown my burger. And make my chili all in the same pot. While that's browning, I'm going to go ahead and add some of my frozen green peppers. And some of my frozen onions. So all I have is some frozen peppers, frozen onions, and some ground beef. And I'm just going to let that all brown up and saute together. And I'm going to be using 2 cans of, these are a light red kidney bean. I'll be draining them. A little bit of garlic powder. My husband likes the McCormick's Original Chili Blend. 1 can of diced tomatoes and juice, and I will not drain those. And then 1 28-ounce can of tomato puree, and that's what I'll be using for my chili. It's the best way to make single meals or meals for 2 for kids when kids move, after kids move out. Exactly. I love to cook. I don't like doing dishes. We do what we need to, though. That's exactly right. I don't mind doing dishes. For years, I didn't have a dishwasher, so it's kind of nice to have a dishwasher. So far I've got a good bit accomplished. I've got the chicken pot put together, ready to go in the oven. Waiting for that to heat. We've got our noodles put away, ready for the pantry. I've got my crock pot with my chicken bones cooking for my broth. I got my chicken noodle soup, homemade chicken noodle soup, out of my cubes and put into some freezer bags. And now I'm going to make some chili. So this is the first of the month. And what I try to do the first of the month is to try and get everything ready for my pantry and for my freezer. And when there's only 2 people in your home, if you make it in a batch and divide it up, it really makes it easy just to go in, to your freezer and take out something for your dinner, and you're not wasting anything. And I absolutely love the freezer meals whenever I'm camping or if I'm not feeling good. I've had this cold, I don't know, it's like I get over it and then it just wants to keep coming back. But it's been horrible. Okay, and I'm preheated to 350. So I'm going to go ahead and put my pot pie in. And I'm going to set my timer for about 30 minutes. And then I'll check on it and see how we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and get some cans open. I'm trying to move you slow. The house is going to smell great. Yes. Yes. I hear that also you can go out with the girls and hubby. And hubby can feed himself because I'm sure he knows how to warm up all those delicious meals. Yes, he does. And he is an amazing cook. He is an amazing cook. However, he's a little bit spoiled. Here are some chocolate chip cookies. When this container gets down to just a few things in it, he almost goes into panic mode. And he keeps it right on the island, and he'll say there's only 2 brownies left, or there's only 4 cookies left. So that's my way of knowing that hubby needs more goodies. And speaking of goodies, yesterday I made banana wafer pudding. And there's not much left. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into a smaller container before I get any farther into anything else. And yes, I do not have any tops in my cabinets. We are remodeling. We're getting ready to pull everything out. And then we did purchase some new property. So we're going to be moving the mobile home to the new property when it's ready. So my remodeling is now on hold. So I'm going to go ahead and move his banana wafer pudding to a smaller container. And I'm sure he will finish that off this evening. And it will give me some room in my refrigerator for all the other things I'm doing. And the banana wafer pudding turned out amazing. And as you can see, hubby really enjoyed it. And yes, I use my fingers and they are clean. So that will give me some refrigerator space. Just gonna let some water in there, let that rinse out real good. So that will give him some more banana wafer pudding for dessert this evening. And it will give me more room in the refrigerator. And I also made fudge. So hubby has plenty of dessert. And I made chocolate chip cookies. So he's all good on the desserts. So that gives me time to work on a few things for my pantry and my freezer. So I'm going to go ahead and open up some of these cans. I hope everybody's doing good. You're in your kitchen. Fingers and hands are allowed. Yes. Plus you've washed your hands at least twice in 20 minutes. Yes, I'm always washing my hands. Always. That's the way we were taught to cook. You just put your hands right in there and mixed it up. But you had to make sure you had clean hands. And I'm using a crank can opener. Trying to keep my hands movable and in good shape. I had surgery, last major surgery years ago, and it affected the use of my hands. So using things like hand crank can openers is a self-therapy. Do I have an electric can opener? I do somewhere, but I don't know when I used it last. It's probably been years. So I thought, well, it's going to snow today. It'll be a good day just to continue my freezer and pantry stock up for the month. And I'll make this large pot of chili and I'll divide it up as well. You remind me of my mama, Gina. Aww. My grandmother was a Mennonite, and oh, she could cook. And I used to love going to my grandmother's and staying, or even going up to visit. Her house always smelled like a bakery. Oh, she could cook. And she wore her hair up in her little bun and had her little apron and her dress. Thank you for sharing. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be over for dinner around 6 p.m. You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. I was raised with a very large family. There was 10 of us in our home. So we had a very large family. And then I only had one child. So it took a lot for me to adjust cooking-wise down to a small family. So I've been cooking for a small family for many, many years. Hi, Granny. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, so I've opened 1 can of tomato puree for my chili, 1 can of diced tomatoes in juice, and 2 cans of light kidney beans. Now I'm going to go ahead and drain those. I know they said we're supposed to get snow today, 1 to 4 inches. So, I hope it's not going to be too awful bad. Okay. So I've got all my cans drained. I'm browning my ground beef, and I put some frozen diced green peppers and some onions in there so they can saute as my burgers browning. I use 1 pound ground beef, so anyway, this is what I do the first of the month. I look in my freezer. I do a freezer rotation. And by the end of the month, I pretty well went through everything I started with at the beginning. And then I'm constantly rotating my freezer this way. And then the same with my pantry. I try the beginning of the month to go through, see what's in there, and as always, first in, first out. Whatever you have in there, pull it forward, bring it out, use it, and then put your new stock in. So, usually the first of the month I'll do that, and then that pretty well takes me through the month. Occasionally I'll have to pick up a few things in between. And then I do use shelf-stable, like powdered milk, and I really like this brand. It's the whole milk. Now, the whole milk will not last as long in your pantry. It'll only last maybe, I think it's about a year. This one says October 31st, or no, December 31st, 2025. Now, your non-fat dried milk will last for years. But if you're using the whole milk, you've got your fat in the whole milk. And I absolutely love this brand for baking, for cooking. You really cannot tell that you didn't just go get fresh milk out of the refrigerator. I mean, I absolutely like it. So I always keep pantry staples in, in the pantry. And when I'm camping, I use powdered milk. When I'm at home, I use powdered milk because my husband and I just can't use a whole gallon of milk, or sometimes not even a half a gallon, and it'll go bad. So by using a pantry stable, it lasts longer, and I know that it's there. If I'm baking or cooking, I don't have to worry about running out of milk, stopping, going to town, picking up supplies. So I do use pantry stables, and then I do use my dehydrator. As you can see, my dehydrator is actually on today. I am making I'm making chicken jerky for my puppies today. And I know it's all natural. It's chicken breast, organic chicken breast. And I know that it's all natural, it's healthy, and I made it myself. So I'm always using my dehydrator. So I do make their own jerky. And then of course I do dehydrate a lot of my own vegetables and my herbs. I have a small herb garden, so I do use my dehydrator a lot. Let me see if I can. And I use these spaghetti sauce jars for multiple things. That's why I do keep them. What is my ethnic? On my mother's side, my great-grandmother was a full-blooded Cherokee Indian, Native American. And my great-grandfather was from England. And on my dad's side, my grandfather was German and my grandmother was Dutch. Now here are some of the vegetables, and like I said, I always save my pasta sauce jars, and I use them for multiple things. Would I can in them? Absolutely not. But are they good for dehydrated vegetables? Yes. I like them because they do screw tight. I can dehydrate, put oxygen absorbers in, and then these go in my pantry, and I have pantry staples. Here's some corn. It's just sweet corn, and I buy it frozen and then just dehydrate it frozen. And here's some mixed vegetables. Here's some mushrooms. So this is just a few of the things that, oh, that explains why you cook so nice. Oh, well, thank you. So here's a few examples of what I use my dehydrator for. And I love the dehydrated vegetables. If I wanted to make cream of mushroom soup. Right here I've got my mushrooms. They're dehydrated. They're pantry stable. I've got them in a jar. I've got some oxygen absorbers in. If I want to make like my chicken pot pie, I can take some of my mixed dehydrated vegetables, and this has carrots, peas, green beans, and corn. Just add some of this to water, set it to the side, let it rehydrate, and I've got my mixed vegetables, and it's shelf stable. Same thing with my corn. I absolutely love my little dehydrator. Of course, it's tiny. It's not very big, but I live in a mobile home, so I don't really have room for a lot of big dehydrators or freeze dryers, and I do not have a freeze dryer. So my freeze-dried pantry stables, I just order them online. normally Walmart or Amazon. So, and I do save a lot of different jars, different size jars. I think this one was like a gravy jar, and I have dehydrated green beans in it. And this one was, I don't really know what it may have. Oh, this had cherries in it. So I do wash these out, and I do save these because a lot of times I may not have a large batch of dehydrated, but I can put them in smaller jars and put them in my pantry, and they're pantry stable, and I've got them when I need them. Okay, let me check on this. This is browning very nice. I love my stainless steel and my cast iron. I think if you have stainless steel, cast iron, you can pretty well do just about anything. Now I'm going to get ready and drain that grease off of there. And then I'll get started on this chili. So, I enjoy cooking, and no, I'm not a professional by any means. Absolutely not. But I do enjoy cooking. And if I make large batches, then I have extra to put in my pantry. Somehow I have misplaced one of my dish rags. Now let me grab another one. I don't want to burn myself. Get all that extra grease out of there. So I'm making chili, and it's going to be a pretty good sized batch. Said hi, good morning. Good morning, Carolyn. How are you this morning? And I'm just going to take some of this extra grease off of here. It said it was lean, but as you've seen, there's quite a bit of grease in there. And I try to be careful because my husband has stents, and so I want him eating as healthy as possible, but yet I want him to be able to have a variety. And that's why I do a lot of my pantry and freezer stock pile, because I know that he's eating healthy. I know that I made it. It doesn't have a lot of added preservatives, all of that stuff in it. Okay, let me set this to the side. And I'm going to get me another spoon ready. Alright, I'll move you a little bit closer here. I'm going to turn this burner back on. All I did there was brown some ground beef. I added some onions that I had diced frozen, and some green peppers. And then I just ground all of that together. This light is not very good, I apologize. So now I'm going to go ahead and add one package. I'm making some chili. One package of the original chili mix. My husband likes this, so it's his favorite. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in there. And I'm going to stir it in really good. Let that cover all my meat and onions. I've got my heat back on. I'm just going to let that simmer there for just a minute. Just kind of let all that seasoning get right into that meat. All I did was just stir it in together. And I'm just going to let that kind of soak into that ground beef and onions and green peppers. And make sure it's all covered and coated good. And then I'll start adding the rest of my ingredients. I'm going to add 1 can of diced tomatoes with tomato juice. This will make a nice big pot of chili, and I'll divide it up into containers in the freezer. And I'm going to add 2 cans of light red kidney beans. And I did drain them. And then I always use just a little bit of water in the bottom of the can. Not much. Just a little bit. Just kind of swish it around to get that extra off of the bottom. Closer here so you can see. Hopefully you can see that okay. That's just the beans, the tomatoes added. I already had the onions, the peppers. I added 1 pack of the chili pack seasoning. And I just stirred that all up real good. And now I'm going to add 1 28-ounce can of tomato puree. Stir that in real good. And I just have my burner on low, about medium low. And then I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder. That looks delicious. Oh, thank you. Add a little bit of garlic powder. And then I always add a little bit of sugar, so I'm going to have to move you back here so I can get into the cabinet. And grab a little bit of sugar. Just enough to take a little bit of that tanginess out of the tomatoes. And I've just got a wee tiny scoop. It looks like I'm putting a lot in, but it's not really. Maybe about 6 tablespoons. And that is all I put in my chili. And I'm just going to let this cook slow for probably about an hour until it thickens real good and everything's good and seasoned. And I know this light is not the greatest, so I'll try and bring it a little bit closer. So that's everything in the chili. It's kind of hard to see with this light. This light is very, very bright. Okay, so now I've got my chili on. I'm just going to cover it and just let that cook low and slow. So that's another thing I've got ready for my freezer. And I'll divide that out into two. Oh, that pie smells delicious. I'll divide that out into containers and put that in the freezer. And then that will be my bulk freezer chili. So now I'll have chicken noodle soup. I've got enough for 2 servings. Each one of these was 2 servings. So that's enough for myself and my husband. Kitty, no. Kitty found the post and he's rubbing on it, sorry. No, Kitty. Are you being a kitchen helper? Please don't knock that over. I usually don't have a big stand. Hi, good morning. Okay, so now got all of this together. Got my chicken pot pie in the oven. I got my pasta noodles done for my pantry. And those are all in my gallon jar, so they're ready for the pantry. Those are the ones that I made yesterday, or made the other day, and then I had them on my live stream yesterday. And I had 4 pounds of pasta, so that gives me plenty of pasta now for my pantry stock up. And I know that it's homemade. There's no extra ingredients in it. It has flour, eggs, water, a little bit of salt, and virgin olive oil. Where did you get your dehydrator? Oh, this is a small magic meal. Let me bring you closer. And I ordered that from, I believe, Amazon. Hopefully you can see that. And this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wire racks. And today we are dehydrating chicken jerky for the puppies. And that way I know it's all natural. It is organic chicken breast. And I know it's a good healthy snack for them. But this is a magic meal. It is very compact. It's not very big. Let me move this. And I absolutely love it. It does a great job with the jerky. It does a great job dehydrating vegetables. But here is just a standard toaster. And you can see it's not much bigger than a standard toaster. It's about a little bit wider than a standard toaster, and about 1.5 toasters, I would say, long, and about 1.5 toasters high. That's how I would measure it. So it's very compact, and I like it because when I'm camping, I can take my dehydrator, and in a camper you don't really have a whole lot of room. So it makes it very nice. I actually purchased a second Magic Meal dehydrator just like this one. I've got one here for home, and I live in a mobile home, so if you've ever lived in a mobile home, you don't have a whole lot of storage, so that's why everything is compact. So this is I think it's a Magic Meal Pro. There's two different ones, and mine is, it'll say compact, and mine is the compact. And it absolutely, I love it. I have dried my herbs in it that I grow, my sage, parsley, oregano. It does an absolutely amazing job. I dehydrated a lot of my vegetables in it. Of course, I'll just get the frozen vegetables. I'll just get the large bag frozen, and when I dehydrate it, I will use my wire racks that are in there, but I will line them with parchment paper. And I'll just take a piece of parchment paper and put on my wire rack, and then just put my frozen vegetables on. And I think it's 122, I believe, for 8 hours. And it dehydrates absolutely perfect. You don't have to rotate your shelves. It dehydrates evenly. It came with the 7 wire racks and 2 of these trays. Now I have even dehydrated eggs and made egg powder. Just scrambled my eggs and put them in these little trays and dehydrated them, and then when they were dry, I took them out and put them in my little grinder and ground them into egg powder. So if I wanted to take it camping and needed a couple eggs to make scrambled eggs or to make an omelet, I had them. So it did an amazing job with the little trays. It comes with 2 of these little plastic trays, 7 wire racks, and then it comes with 2 of the mesh trays. So what I like about this one is you can order extra for your dehydrator. So I ordered extra the mesh. So if I'm doing like berries, blueberries, strawberries, anything like that, I can use the mesh. I ordered some extra mesh trays, and then I ordered some more of the extra plastic trays with the lip on it. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1 in the bottom. I always keep 1 in the bottom of my dehydrator, and that way if anything drops while I'm dehydrating, it'll catch it on the bottom of one of these little trays. So I absolutely love my dehydrator. I use it all the time. And here is the model number. Hopefully you can see that okay. It's M as in Mary, F as in Frank, D as in David, -7700. And it comes with a really nice cookbook, and it is so easy to follow, easy instructions, and everything that I've tried the jerky. Like I said, I've made the dehydrated eggs, turned them into powder. I've dehydrated some of my herbs and vegetables, frozen vegetables, and everything that I've done, it has turned out absolutely amazing. Would I recommend this one if you don't have a lot of space? Yes. I mean, everything I've ever tried in it has been absolutely wonderful. So this is one way that I keep my pantry stock up, is if I'm not doing a lot at the beginning of the month, and I notice that my dehydrated vegetables are getting low, I'll go ahead and plan on that month I'm going to use my dehydrator. So I'll go ahead and buy the large bags of frozen vegetables or sweet corn or peas or green beans, and then just run my dehydrator. And it's usually 8 hours, and it is just amazing. And they rehydrate so nice. And they've got such nice color. So while we're doing that, I'll take a few of these. These are some of the mixed vegetables that I did. I'll take a few of those, and I'll put them in a small jar with some water just to let you see how nice they rehydrate. And they keep such pretty color. So I'm just going to put a few in the jar. And I'm just going to add some lukewarm water. And usually about 15-20 minutes before I want to use them, I'll just put some out in a container, add some water, and just let them set and rehydrate. But you can see how absolutely beautiful they are. I've never tried anything like that, so I can't say. But you'll see how quickly these rehydrate, and they absolutely keep their color, and they're so pretty. And those were just, I think it was a Kroger brand, frozen vegetable is all that was. But I'll let those set for a little bit while I'm doing other things. And then I'll let them rehydrate, and I'll go back and show you that. I'm going to check my pie. I'm going to stir my chili. I get to talking and forget what I'm doing. Do you all ever do that? I do. I do it all the time. Let me check my pie. I think I'm going to give it just a little bit longer. Hopefully you can see that. Oh, isn't that looking good? And that is the chicken pot pot. Let me go ahead and I want to set that for another 15 minutes. Set my timer, that way I don't forget. I'm going to turn my chili down to a simmer. So I have gotten quite a bit done here today. I got some chili cooking for the freezer stock up. I put my homemade pasta that I made and put out on trays to dry, and I just lay that out on cookie sheets, and I line it with aluminum foil. You can still see that's my leftovers from my noodles, and I just lay it out on cookie sheets lined in aluminum foil for about 48 hours. Yeah, this one is very reasonable. We grow some things, and I hate putting them in the freezer. I can't afford one of those $4,000 or $5,000 ones. Exactly. Now this one is very reasonable. I purchased this one for here, and then I was taking it to my camper because if you've been watching me, we do go camping a lot. And that's why I like the compact. I can have it here. I could easily put it in my vehicle, take it to the camper, because that way if I was at the camper, and you don't have much refrigerator space or freezer space in a camper. So that way if I was getting vegetables, I could, didn't have to worry about freezer space. I could go ahead and dehydrate even if I was at the camper. And I liked it so much that I purchased a second one just like it. So I've got one at the camper and one for home. And then my mother-in-law had stopped by one day, and I was dehydrating, I think, mixed vegetables. And she absolutely fell in love with it. So this past Christmas, my husband and I bought her a dehydrator just like mine. And she stopped by one day shortly after she received her dehydrator that was delivered to her. And she needed some oxygen absorbers, and I helped her out with that. And she was so excited. She said, "Oh, I'm having so much fun. I'm dehydrating fruit. I'm dehydrating vegetables." And she's, I think, 84. And she is just having a blast, an absolute blast. And using the little Magic Meal dehydrator. And I don't have one of the big freeze dryers. Usually if I want something for shelf stable, I'll go ahead and order through Amazon or Walmart. They both have, like the freeze-dried fruits. I've got freeze-dried strawberries, and peach slices, apple, corn, green beans, carrots, things like that. I'll just order them because I'm not, number one, I don't have the space for a large freeze dryer. And number two, I don't want to put that extra money out into a freeze dryer. So there's only two of us, and they come in 10, number 10 cans, just like my powdered milk. And let me see, I'll go get a couple cans. I'm not sure what all I have in here. Here's a couple of the freeze-dried that I picked up either through Walmart or through Amazon. And this one is freeze-dried peach slices. And this is good for 30-year shelf life. And then here's another example. I picked up apple slices. And these are the freeze-dried, or no, these are dehydrated. This one's dehydrated. And its shelf life is 25 years. And you just add water and rehydrate it. So these is how, and they're number 10 cans with my husband and myself. It would take me quite a while to use a number 10 can of apple slices or of peach slices. But it's always nice to have them, especially if you're out somewhere and you're not close to a store and you're making something. You can just open a can, rehydrate it, and you've got pantry staples in your pantry. I'm going to put these away. And then, of course, I do have the dehydrated potatoes, because it takes a lot if you're going to dehydrate your potatoes. You've got to wash them, you've got to peel them, slice them, then you've got to keep rinsing them until you get all the starch completely out of them before you dehydrate them. And even if you think you don't have enough of the starch out and you parboil them, and then dehydrate them. If you did not get all the starch out, they will still tend to turn black. So I just get the number 10 cans of the dehydrated. The stuff I put in the freezer gets freezer burnt fast. Yeah, and that's why I always do my freezer rotation. I plan on the first of the month. I only have one large freezer, and then of course my freezer in the refrigerator. So I'm constantly rotating, and I try to plan my menu. So like today I made the chicken pot pie. I know I'm only going to be using half of it, and then I'll be freezing half. I'm making the chili today because I'm going to be freezing it in portions. I had froze portions of the homemade chicken noodle soup using the homemade fettuccine noodles, and I canned my own chicken, and then I used dehydrated vegetables that I had rehydrated. And as you can see, they're starting to rehydrate very nice. And they keep their color, they keep their freshness. So I portion things out, and then I put it in the freezer, and that way I'm constantly rotating. You know, I'm not leaving anything there, you know, for any length of time. And I know I'm only buying for 2. And a lot of things, it's really hard to make, like a pot of chili, you know, or a large thing of homemade chicken noodle soup. It's really hard to make a small batch, and there's only 2 of us, so this way I know I'm putting it in the freezer. I know what I have, and each month I'm going through my freezer, I'm pulling everything to the front as I'm putting new things in behind. And that way I know I'm constantly rotating. The same with your pantry, you know, first in, first out. Keep everything rotated. And so anyway, that's a few of the things that I've been doing today, and I thought I would bring you along. And I've been on here now for a little over an hour and a half. So we have the chili, which is smelling delicious. And I'm going to pull this. I think I'm going to pull this pie out. We have our chicken pot pie, which looks amazing. Hopefully the light's not too bad. Let me see if I can get it where you can. It looks amazing. I've got 5 minutes. I think I'll go ahead and give it its last 5 minutes, and then my pot pie will be ready for dinner. And not only is that dinner tonight, but I'll cut it in half, use half of it, and then the other half will go into the freezer for another freezer meal. Yeah, just putting me and my husband. Oh, you just have you and your husband as well. It's kind of hard, and especially with everything so expensive right now. You don't want to have any waste, but if you're making it in bulk, yeah, it may take like an hour and a half. Like today, I put my noodles away that I had made, got them in my jar. So I've got 2 of these gallon containers, and I use the Pasta and Beyond pasta maker because my hands just don't work like they used to. And then I put them out on a cookie sheet lined with aluminum foil for about 48 hours. It depends on your humidity. Sometimes it may take longer. And then when I do put them in the jar, I make sure I put oxygen absorbers in with them. So I know that gives me 2 1-gallon jars of homemade fettuccine noodles. I know there's no preservatives in it. It's all natural. So I got those put away this morning. Got my chicken pot pie. Made some chili. Took my chicken noodle soup out of the freezer and put it into some plastic Ziploc baggies. Each one held 2 cubes. I know that each cube is 2 cups, and that's 1 bowl of soup. So that gives me 2 meals of soup for myself and my husband. And I have somebody getting impatient, so I'm going to have to hop off of here. and take care of some babies. We got another one. The babies are saying, it's time, Mama. You need to hop off of there and take care of us. So anyway, they're telling me it's time to go. Yeah, it's just me and my husband too. Okay. Time for me to hop off of here. Go take care of my babies. I'm going to finish up what I'm doing here. And then we're going to go in and sneak an early nap. So, until next time. Bye, everyone. And, oh, I'll let you see these one more time. Let me stir them up. And this is they're rehydrating, very nice. You can see how they keep their color. You can see pretty carrots and corn and beans and peas. And that has only been just a few minutes. So that's what I'll do if I'm going to make something and need a mixed vegetable or use corn or peas or whatever I've got dehydrated. And I'm using shelf stable. I dehydrated it in my little dehydrator. I know there's no extra additives, preservatives, and it's just a way for us to eat healthy and for me to have plenty of pantry stock and backup. It's shelf stable, and it's good and healthy. And I know that I'm not wasting anything, especially with the cost of food right now. So anyway, they're getting very impatient. They probably need to go POTTY. So I'm going to hop off of here and go spend some time with the babies. And I'll see you the next time. So, as always, don't be afraid to try new things in your kitchen. You're never too young or too old to try new things. Just like me with the Pasta and Beyond pasta maker. I got it, I tried it, and yeah, my hands don't work like they used to. It's a blessing. And so don't be afraid to try new things. Enjoy your kitchen. And as always, be kind. Be kind to one another. We need to see more of that. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, and if you want to, subscribe. And we'll catch you the next time. Maybe tomorrow I'll be canning some pork, and I think I'm going to be doing a pork roast, pork roast, I believe is what I have, and I'm going to be canning that in my new electric canner. So I'll probably bring you along for that, and that'll probably be tomorrow. I put it in my refrigerator to thaw, so I'm letting it thaw slowly, and then we'll get it canned. So I'll bring you along for that, and that may be tomorrow. So until next time, bye-bye. Enjoy your day, and thank you for stopping by. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone. Have an absolutely wonderful day. Let me shift hands here. Bye-bye.